Into the wild I'll go, and into the wild I am. It's been a while, freedom child, since I left my roots back home. Into the wild I'll go, and into the wild I am. It's been a while, freedom child, since I left my roots back home.
Welcome to the Free Birth Society podcast. This is a radical space for women who are ready to celebrate their autonomous choices in birth, motherhood, and beyond. Together, we'll learn about wild birth through personal narrative, we'll explore the politics of birth, and we'll analyze everything that relates to our lives as women from a feminist perspective. Here's your host, Emilee Saldea.
It's been a while, freedom child, since I left my roots back home.
If you're like most of my listeners, you are devouring these episodes, fascinated by the women's stories, and wondering if you could do this too. Do you wish that you had a step-by-step strategy for how to actually plan and manifest your free birth? Our complete guide to free birth is the #1 course for free birth, and we made it for women just like you. It's a self-guided, online, intensive course that will teach you everything we think you need to know about how to birth freely and in your power. We'll take you all the way from unpacking industrial care to what DIY prenatal care looks like, how to pick and prep your support team, what to expect, look out for, and how to shift when more support could be needed. Yes, we'll cover the what ifs, how to prevent complications, and how to orient your entire life towards a powerful birth. So head on over to freebirthsocietycourses.com now and take the first step towards the birth of your dreams. This is a special week in my life because I'm sitting down with my best friend, my partner, my beloved husband, Jonny, to do our 40-week wrap-up episode. We did this in my first pregnancy with our daughter, and here we are again, recording on my actual 40th week date. We'll walk through the year of my pregnancy, I'll share the highs and lows, and then we'll tackle a bunch of questions you all sent in to us. Please enjoy our giggly attempt to have a real conversation while I'm floating away into laborland. I'll see you on the other side. Okay, so we are here to do my 40-week wrap-up. And we did this with my first pregnancy when 4.5 years ago, when I was pregnant with our daughter, and it was kind of a beloved fan favorite. So I got a lot of requests to do it again with this one. And actually today, I think, is my real 40-week mark, I think.
Congratulations.
Yeah. So the problem with that is I'm floating away. I'm only half here. It's been really hard to keep my wits about me, and I'm going to do my best.
You're doing great.
All right. So I think the kind of format that we followed last time was we talked a bit about the conscious conception path and went through the trimesters. And then we asked each other questions, but this time I asked you all from my newsletter and through Q&As on Instagram what questions you had for us as a couple and individually, and we got a ton. And so we're going to just pick out a couple that we want to ask each other, and that's how we'll finish. Okay. This baby. Whew. I've been pregnant for a long time.
You're maximum pregnant right now.
Yeah, it feels like it's been a really long time. But I don't feel like over it. I'd be happy to stay pregnant for another month if I could. But I have a lot more going on than I did with Miss Sunier. So I guess we could kick it off saying that we knew we were ready maybe a year and a half ago or longer, but right around the time that I was thinking of wanting to be pregnant again. So our kiddo would have been like, I don't know, 3 or something. My knee went out. And so I had a whole year of literally going in and out of being on crutches, not being able to walk, a lot of physical pain, a lot of rehabbing, and it was awful. And so, of course, there's no way I was going to get pregnant in that year. And so that put us a year later, which actually now, as it's all worked out, feels really perfect that she's the age that she's at and she's so with it.
Helpful and
Yeah,
sweet, and also takes care of herself in a
right.
lot of ways.
Super independent and just so with it. It doesn't feel daunting at all to think about adding a newie with a 4.5-year-old.
No, and she's been so sweet connecting with the belly and talking to the little one.
My favorite thing is that she's repeatedly said she wants to take over all the mothering duties except for breastfeeding, which is probably not what will happen, but it's a very cute idea. So, yeah, we started the conception journey last fall, and it took, we're not exactly sure, but I think 3 rounds, 3 attempts, and 3 months, I think is the correct term.
3 months.
3 months. And yeah, I was convinced after it didn't take the first time that I was infertile and that, you know, all of the terrible ways I haven't taken care of myself since I've become a mom were now going to coalesce in obvious infertility, which I think is a really common worry, freak out. I mean, it was not that big of a deal. And then we eventually just tried this, what we call the Sunier method, which is where you just have sex every day, which is how we got pregnant with Sunier the second month or third month.
Second month with her.
I think I got pregnant on January 1st. And the first trimester was horrific. I know it can be worse, which I kept trying to remind myself, but I was teaching RBK full time, like coaching, working, all the shit that I do, and so sick, so nauseous, so sick. Oof. I was just going, like, I'd teach a class. I moved my office into this room that's next to our bedroom. Normally, I'm out here in this little, like, it's kind of like a shed, like a nice shed. And I moved my office next to my bed so that I could teach my classes and then just walk 3 feet to my bed and lay there and feel sorry for myself and then get back up for my next session. Yeah. But whatever. It did not end at 12 weeks though. I feel like I was pretty messed up until like 18 or something.
It's been different than Suni's pregnancy in that way, for sure.
Oh, God. It was terrible. And I wasn't even puking constantly like some women. It was just that like constant feeling of nausea. I don't really have anything good to say about the
And
first
not
try.
wanting to eat anything,
Oh, I
but like
mean,
needing to eat every 90 minutes
yeah,
to stave off nausea.
that was pretty hard. I remember saying multiple times, like, if I had known it was going to be like this, I wouldn't have done it. But that's kind of the thing. There's no going back. Whatever. What are you going to do? It's part of it. It's over. And then, but it really rocked me. It was hard. But also, in that, hard is what you make it. And there was, well, I guess I'll get to that. But one of my big, lessons of this pregnancy was like, who are you in this? Are you gonna just be a complaining, annoying person who's miserable and feels sorry for herself? And I chose that path plenty. And how does that serve my family and what I'm moving towards? And I haven't spent a lot of time in victim. Like I mean, in some ways I do, but I'm much more like solution oriented and not that big of a complainer. And yeah, to go from a year with the knee where I really met my victim into, I guess, what I would call kind of a hard pregnancy was, I mean, the only really descriptive word I have is annoying, but it was challenging. Definitely pushed my mental capacity to also be working, choosing to work, as much as I do and did. And then right when the nausea felt like it started to curb, I started to get really debilitating migraines. And that was a whole new world. I've dealt with migraines on and off since I was in high school, but Whew.
Not with that regularity. It seemed to
Yeah.
come all the time, and
I mean, I would have 6-day migraines, 7-day migraines, and I mean migraines, like, whew, can't get out of bed, can't talk, just the whole thing. It was quite dramatic for a while. Yeah, it was pretty hard and awful, actually, reflecting on it. And also at the same time, life goes on and my life is amazing. I'm doing tons of stuff and we're a happy family and like we're trying to make space for. Oh, that's what I wanted to mention is I finally, one of my girlfriends, Amy Robertson Griffin, finally recommended or reminded me about weed, which I completely forgot about. I just
how fast things change.
I completely forgot about weed. It never occurred to me to smoke weed with Suni. And yeah, she brought it up about the nausea, and I started introducing weed into my life again. I mean, after a very long time. Oh my gosh. Do you remember how helpful that was?
Yeah.
Oh, that was a game changer. It didn't ever help with the headaches, but for the remaining maybe month or so, using cannabis for my nausea was so helpful, and I wish I had thought about it way sooner, but it literally did not occur to me. I feel like that happens a lot. Like I feel like I know so many things as a midwife to tell women, and I can't ever remember them for myself. Like with Suni, I had all those like internal cuts and tears after the birth, and I just was like crying, peeing when because it was stinging so bad. And then finally, one of my girlfriends, it was like day 4 or 5, was like, "Why aren't you using a peri bottle with warm water to dilute the acid in the urine?" And I was like, "Oh right, literally forgot. I can't remember any of it." Yeah. Okay, so migraines horrific, and then I finally started working with a longtime friend of mine who's a naturopath, Jen Tice, who does homeopathy. And between that and my girlfriend Ariel, who was on the podcast recently, introducing me to adrenal cocktails, like changed my life. And interesting, at least to me, the homeopathy that helped so much was nat mur, which is salt, and then the adrenal cocktails obviously have salt in them, so I'm maybe salt deficiency. The day we were prepping in June, I was still getting migraines, up prepping for the festival, and the day Emilee Bruce, who actually edits this podcast, hi Emilee, came, the day she arrived was the day Ariel made me an adrenal cocktail, and I started my homeopathy, and I never got another migraine. So that's not a very interesting story for anyone else, but for me, it was literally like
It was a big deal.
it was a huge deal because I was really worried about how I was going to function, running the festival. And I just thought this was like my life and I didn't understand what was happening. It was really awful. Yeah. Anyway, so that's all the bummer stuff.
And we were busy.
Everything kind of gets better from there, though.
Yeah, lots of property development and legal stuff and adult
Ugh,
things.
so much adulting. Yeah. And then being pregnant at the festival was great. Other than that, I'm not used to feeling tired, and feeling tired, it's like a fairly foreign concept to my feisty personality. And I remember missing Sister Morningstar's Village Prenatal, like 3-hour class happening on my land, like a total climactic experience for me as, someone who has followed it, in her path in so many ways and has looked up to her for so long, and she's literally there. I think it was Wednesday morning, and I physically couldn't get out of bed. I did also learn how to DJ while I was while I was in the bed with my girlfriend Hannah Grace. Silver lining was I learned how to DJ today, but I missed what seemed like one of the most incredible parts of the entire festival happening just right there, and I just couldn't do it. I was too tired. Anyway, okay, cruising along. We're just going to do a quick wrap up on the pregnancy and then we'll ask the questions and hopefully this gets more interesting. What about you up until let's take it to July. July's like recovery. We go to the beach for a while and then we go to Hawaii. That was chill.
It was pretty chill. After the festival, it was mostly chill. Yeah, we committed to kind of not take on more giant projects and traveled a bit, took some time on the beach, which was nice.
But then I got sick.
Yeah.
I got sick at the beach on our vacation, and then I got sick in Hawaii. That was really lame. I've been sick 3 times since pregnancy, and I'm just like a fragile little bitch right
You
now.
kind of are.
I am not usually like that. I like never get sick,
Mhm.
but here I am getting sick. Hawaii was amazing. We took Suni back to where she was born. We did a helicopter ride over Iao Valley to show her where we may or may not have possibly buried her placenta. Probably shouldn't say that stuff on. We definitely didn't do that.
Did not do that.
No. Yeah, and just had really quality family time. And then on the last morning, we were going to go to our favorite beach and recreate the FBS podcast picture of me when I was pregnant with Suni with my arms up on the like ocean bank. And I woke up so sick and I puked and thought my waters opened, but really I just peed. And that was embarrassing. And I was like, John, you have to find me pants. We have to go to the airport. And we had to make our flight. And I was just so sick. I had a fever coming on and diarrhea,
And like bad like
nausea.
pelvis discomfort.
Oh God, my back hurt so
your
bad.
back.
It just something creeped on me so quick.
Worst plane ride ever for you.
Yeah.
Not bad for me, but-
It was horrific. Yeah, but I do see the gifts in all of that stretching, and I'm trying to remember that as I, enter into laborland any day now. Yeah, because really, I guess I didn't realize that most of this podcast was going to be me complaining about the pregnancy. But you're holding both things. Like there's the physicality of it, and also, of course, I'm grateful, blah, 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 everything good, and get through it. But being sick on a plane, that was the first. Not being able to lay down with a fever. That was pretty brutal, actually. Thankfully, Suni was an angel.
I think it's a good mind exercise of
Right.
maybe labor itself, where it's like, this is happening and you're not getting out of it. So we're on a plane over the Pacific and there's nowhere to go. There's nothing to do.
One weird thing, though?
Discomfort is.
I was clearly not okay on the plane. And I mean, I was standing. Yeah, I'm
Like,
standing, rocking. I'm maybe 34, 35 weeks. So already huge. And I'm wearing like a, Delta blanket because I weirdly didn't bring anything for the plane. And I have a fever. So I'm freezing and hot. I'm just pathetic, and my feet are so swollen and I'm having contractions because I'm dehydrated. I mean, it was just all so bad. And I'm standing there and I'm like swaying and I'm having contractions and I'm like, oh, and I'm like clearly miserable. Not one freaking person, employee of the airlines or otherwise, not one person asked if I was okay. Which ultimately I didn't want, right? Like, you know what I mean?
Totally.
But in reflection, I was like, that's crazy that there was an entire flight crew for 6 hours. I'm like, not okay. I mean, do you remember how I was turning around on the seat? Because my hips, for some reason, just like had me. And I was like, was so uncomfortable. And I was sitting.
Like you were in labor.
I know. It's just so weird because they were walking by us constantly. And maybe I just put my invisibility cloak on stronger than I realized.
But I mean, you had to like move out of the aisle for people to walk past you.
Constantly.
So,
It was really strange that not one flight attendant was like, ma'am, do you need anything at all? And really the only thing I would have asked was, is there anywhere I can lay down? But it was a full flight. So I already knew I would have pursued that had I thought it was possible. So that was brutal. And thankfully we had the foresight to break up the flights coming home because we're out in North Carolina. We go through Atlanta. Obviously Hawaii is where it is. And so you fly through California and they're both 6-hour flights. So, pretty intense travel day. And thankfully we stopped halfway in San Francisco and got like a nice hotel and slept. And that was fine. And then I woke up and got a fever all over again. I got like sleep and then woke up and was like, it's coming back.
But you
and
were
then
able to rest between flights, which would not have been an option otherwise. So.
And then I weirdly felt good. I couldn't eat the entire day, which is like, a horrible combination, pregnant. It was so weird. That was the weirdest traveling experience. Yeah. Anyway, so I'm fine. All of a sudden at midnight, the nausea, our kid's asleep. We're laying in bed. My fever's broke. I literally haven't eaten food all day. And all of a sudden at midnight, I turned to him and I'm like, I have to eat because I feel capable all of a sudden. I have to eat and it has to be in and out and it has to be right now. And so we got into a whole thing because I was just going to go
She's
get
like,
it.
I'll just Uber and go. And I was like, I'm not going to send my
Sick,
super
pregnant.
pregnant, sick wife in an Uber in a strange part of the city. So I went.
So he went and he got me in and out, which I only started eating meat a year ago. So it was actually my first time having like an In-N-Out burger, which whatever, I'm not even saying was good or anything, just noting changes in my life. And I got a milkshake and fries and it was so good. And then I woke up
And
and
then you
felt,
slept.
and then I slept, and then I woke up and had diarrhea again and got a fever again and was right back into the whole thing. But that was a really nice like half hour for us. Thank you for going.
You're welcome.
So yeah, the other thing that I want to shout out is my girlfriend Isabella recommended that I borrow a pillow from the hotel to travel with that day. And that was, on the scale of like guidance that I've ever gotten in my life for how, like, compared to how badly I would need it, that was such a game changer to have that plushy ass pillow that whole day. And I could lay down at the airport with the pillow. This is such a boring story, but it was really deeply meaningful to me because then it was a whole different plane ride. All right, moving on. I was sick, blah, blah, blah. But then when we were in the truck on the way home, I thought, well, you thought I was in labor more than I thought,
Yeah.
around 34, 35 weeks.
Because I kind of still thought that maybe your water's open the day before.
And not that I had just totally peed
that
while
you
I
peed in bed,
puked.
or
No, it
whatever.
wasn't the bed. I wasn't puking in the bed.
I
I
don't
was puking
remember.
in the
I don't
toilet.
remember how it happened. I was caring for our other child.
But it was pee. It was not like a prideful moment for Emilee Saldea.
I'm glad that you weren't in labor.
Yeah. But and then I cried at the airport because he was like, you're in labor. And I was having painful contractions. Obviously, I was just dehydrated, but I was like, wow, okay, we're in San Francisco, going to a hotel. I'm sick and I might be in labor. Like, what is that going to be like? And I like mapped it all out as we got as we got to the hotel because we Ubered there, I guess. And I was like, okay, so I'll have the baby here at the hotel. I don't need anything. And then we'll move over to an Airbnb the next day. And then when I feel up for the cross country road trip, we'll just rent a car and I'll sit in the back with the baby. And like, we've got this. It's totally fine.
It would have been fine.
What's the big deal?
We had somebody looking after our sheep.
The sheep were the last thing I could care about.
Just saying, things were taken care of. You could have done it that way.
But it is nice. Choosing free birth, part of the liberation within it is to unravel the dependencies that we as women, have been conditioned to think that we need on people and things in order to do this biological event, right? And you don't actually need anything. We know that women go into the woods or the fields, or anywhere, into the bathrooms of restaurants and grocery stores. A woman gave birth at a Trader Joe's in LA when I lived there, on accident, but still, so that is, so many women, for example, it's making me think of with the festival, so many women DM'd me or emailed me, I'll be in my third trimester. Do you think it's safe to come to the festival? I don't want to be away from my midwife. I don't want to be away from my partner. Is it safe? Is it safe? And, I don't even ever know what to say to any of that, because what does that even mean? Like, you could give birth. Yes, you could give birth. And what do you think you need? And address that. And then make your decisions around it. I was with my family.
Yeah, and what is safety? You're traveling to event. Is that safe?
What does that even mean?
You're leaving your house.
Is staying in your house safe?
It's not.
Although I do prefer it.
Yeah.
My closet shut in.
I like to stay quite near it.
Yeah.
Outside is fine.
If it's on our property.
Quite near it.
Is that us getting old and weird? Or is that just like, is that actually what everyone secretly wants?
I have always contended that that's what everybody secretly wants, and they are misguided to think otherwise. And
To think that
someday
they want to be like
they'll
in
circle
cities.
back around, even if they're super old.
Yeah.
Eventually, they'll be like, "Oh, right,
My safe place.
right." Introversion is the way. Is that a word? Introversion?
Introverted?
Well, that's a word, isn't it?
Introversion, yeah.
Yeah.
It is here, safe space. Yeah, okay, so we come home and we're in the truck, and it's a 2.5 hour drive, and that was when I actually was like, I might be in labor because I was like, "Oh, oh," I was like fully having labor contractions in the front seat. It was terrible. But then I kept just being like, my body wouldn't do this. This is not how my body wants to give birth. It's not going to do this. And it didn't.
And it couldn't possibly do it away from
Or
hot
no.
water and towels.
Hot water and towels.
We need
We
more
need
hot
sterile
water.
clamps.
Somebody get the towels.
Yeah. I mean, I was with you and Suni, and that was really all.
Yeah.
Really, everything else is material. And therefore doesn't matter. That was the dramatic sick story. It was terrible.
Made it home, and that felt nice.
Oh my god. We were like, we're never leaving again. We're never
then-
traveling again.
And then Suni and I got sick. And so we were like hella jet lagged and
I forgot about
quite
that.
sick. And
That was
we
a dark week.
We're not in labor, but
Yeah, but I was still recovering.
yeah, it was a weird week.
It was a weird week.
Yeah.
And it was such a bummer to end our trip like that because we had the best time in Hawaii,
It was
and
pretty
then
great.
it was like hardcore survival mode. Anyway, that was August. It's now September. Yeah. Okay. So then the last, I mean, this is just really, I don't think probably interesting to anybody, but I just feel like the last,
Everyone has like skipped forward.
yeah. When do they, well, to what part?
I don't know. Hoping it gets better. I stop in every minute to listen.
Oh, that's terrible. I mean, look, people asked. So the people who have, for some reason, have any interest in our relationship and in my pregnancy are getting the story. All right. So the last, I don't know, month or two for me has just been wrapping up my work. And by wrapping up, it's like a total joke because nothing's ever wrapped. It's just me working a lot. But it's all stuff I love, you know.
Slightly less. There are
Now
some
it's slightly
things that
less.
it's
Well, this week it is slightly
We'll
less.
see.
Yeah, just getting stuff in order. I mean, because I'm also going through this big scaling and up leveling with Free Birth Society, like within the business, while there's just so much stuff happening all the time, which we choose and we create and we love, of course, but it's a lot.
We're doing it all on purpose.
Totally,
You know?
totally.
It's like, oh man, we're so busy.
Yeah, but it's all our creation,
Yeah.
so
It's great.
yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway,
it's a lot of fun.
I don't really know what else I have to say about the end. I could speak to some differences about, with Sunie being my first pregnancy, and it was a wild pregnancy, and so I didn't have anyone to like check in with medically. Like obviously I did with my friends, but just walking that path for the first time, there was what ifs to grapple with. There was just random ways of capping out. Like my famous one is that I would just make up that she wouldn't have a face, and he would come home from work and I'd be like, I'm positive, like she's definitely not forming a face, which is a very weird thing.
For whatever reason.
Well, it was because one of my midwife friends had attended a birth at the beginning of my pregnancy. They thought it was Zika, but it wasn't. But the baby had some condition, I can't remember what it's called, where the skull wasn't formed.
Oh, yeah,
and
I
it-
remember.
Remember that? And it like didn't have all of a face. Anyway, it haunted me. And it was like my go-to thing to freak out about. Like if my brain wanted some candy of something to be scared of, I was like, well, that's one of the most horrific situations I could think of. Yeah. Anyway, so I mean, it really wasn't stressful, but I did play with or toy with fear in my pregnancy with Sunie in a way that just hasn't been interesting to me at all in this pregnancy. And obviously I've walked the path before. I've grown and birthed a healthy baby. My life is very full and very like there's so much going on that requires so much of me, and I'm in such a constantly creative state. I think that has probably fundamentally been one of the biggest reasons why I'm just more interested in hanging out in that space versus being like nervous or anxious, or you know what I mean? None of that stuff even seems interesting to me. Yeah, what if? Well, then I'll handle it. What else is there to even talk about?
Yep.
Like the integration of this new paradigm is so much more embodied now for me 4+ years later than it was when I went through my first, experience with this. And I've really noticed that even though the pregnancy's been more challenging, you could argue psychologically,
It has not been
not at
even
all.
it, at least for me, it has not even really been forefront of our consciousness in the way that Sunni's was. We just were so busy, and it feels like we have so got this, and that there's nothing to worry about or fear. That it becomes kind of every day.
I think we're also far more present to our lives now. Like when I was pregnant with Sunni, it was all about getting to where we're going.
Yeah.
It was about like stacking money and
Finding our
figuring
place.
out where we were going to be and figuring out, what I was going to do with FBS and figuring out what you were going to do in your industry. And it just was a lot of like looking to the future and trying to build. And now we're like inside of it now.
Do you remember when we were staying with Megan on Maui and looking for the next place, and we were really striking out, and you had like a dark night of the soul?
The 36-week
Yeah,
breakdown.
we may have spoken about that on the last go around.
We did, because women will write me and be like, I'm not leaving my house. One woman told me, I'm not coming to the festival because I'll be 36 weeks. And because you had a mental breakdown at 36 weeks, I'm scared I will too. And I was like, that is not why I shared it with you.
The old
It-
36-week mental breakdown.
People just take me so seriously. It was not an actual mental breakdown. I had like an hour-long freak out.
You like
Carry
had
on.
to cry in the evening because we couldn't find a place.
Right.
to
I
live.
like felt things. I felt stress and expressed
And
it.
then we found a place to live like the next
The
day.
next day. Okay, what was your point?
My point was, part of what was happening for us at that time, which again we expressed in the last go around, was that we didn't have place. We were looking, so much was unknown for us, even where we were going to live next month, in a way that here it's not.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to get buried right over there, hopefully in a long time, but
Totally legal.
it's not.
I don't think so.
You
I
can't
think
bury a
you
body.
probably should not say that.
I've never done it,
We've never done
to
it,
be sure, but
and we never will.
I just meant when I was like old, like nothing weird.
Well, I think there's that maybe Oregon or Washington where you like can buy a pod for yourself, like a seed sack, and you have to send the body there legally. This is my preliminary understanding. I'd have to send, assuming that you die first,
Natural
which
causes.
statistically is most
Oh,
likely.
for sure. Plus
So
I'm
then
20 years older than you.
you're not 20 years older. And so then, yeah, you ship the body there. They like put it in a pod, like a seed pod, and then you can have it back. And then you can bury it.
Once it's a seed pod.
This is airtight. This is an airtight plan.
I have a feeling that North Carolina does not.
Oh, I don't think
have
they'd take
that same
kindly.
policy.
I don't think they'd take kindly to my seed pod plan. But there is a website I saw one of the students from RBK showed to me recently in the last round, and it was like a little complicated with the transporting, but seemed legal.
Okay, well, we'll put a pin in that until later. We can figure out how to bury me later. But my point
I'm telling you
is
now.
that we are stable here and secure here, and this is our forever home in a way that we're never going to have with Sunni under those circumstances. So
Our previous life.
yeah,
Thanks, COVID.
it had made details of this incoming baby
Right.
like less important to figure out. It's already figured out, and that alone is a stressor off of our shoulders.
So chill.
Quite chill.
Side note, I'm real excited to return to a non-burping woman.
Minimal burping woman.
It's like distorted because I've been pregnant for like the whole year now, and I'm keep being like, I didn't used to be this disgusting, right?
You did not used to burp.
It's
like
so
that.
gross. It's constant. Oh my gosh, feel my contraction.
You gotta just get that out.
Hey,
Exercise the
she's.
demons.
Oh my gosh.
Gosh, it's like constant flex.
Okay. So yeah, the contractions started in Hawaii, and I was only 34-ish weeks, and I've been a little surprised by it. With Sunya, I didn't have any until it was on like Donkey Kong the night of the birth, but this has been like, yeah, a pretty, like, I've had waves that have gotten me out of bed in the middle of the night because I couldn't lay through them, which is kind of intense. Oh, it's going like down into my yoni. Ooh,
Tonight, tonight.
no, I don't think so.
Should I get some towels?
How do you even know? You know when a
Yeah,
baby comes out.
yeah, you'll know. Eventually,
But
it'll
I've already
come to you.
had, like, in the last couple of weeks, I've like, in the kitchen we have a big island, and I've been like, oh, I'm like, whoa, that's weird. But no baby. Okay. Yeah. It's been really not heady at all. I feel literally no fear, which is super chill. I just don't feel worried. But also, I don't worry. Like, that is something I have chosen to eradicate from my personality. I was never a particularly anxious or worried person, but when you really break down, like, what is worry, what is anxiety, it is to not be present, right? You can't do both. You can't, I mean, it's also to strategize worst case scenarios, and there can be like a sense of feeling like it's helping you prepare. And there's all sorts of ways I think it can trick us, but it is ultimately, you can't both be anxious, be worried, and be present. And kind of like what you were just saying, so much about arriving into this home and into this land and into actualizing everything we've wanted to do for the last 10 years we've been together, and even who we were as individuals before that, because we had so many shared dreams. It's so easy to be present inside of all of that now. And I'm feeling that integration happening within the pregnancy and the preparation for the birth, which really is no preparation. And then we've done cute things, like we've set up our tea room as a cute little birthing cave. And
Which was actually kind of heady. Once I started to think about it, I was like, oh, we haven't even really thought about this or talked about this much
yeah,
um,
at all. You mean the
at
birth?
all. Yeah,
Yeah.
until like 2 seconds ago, and then it was like, what do we physically need? And our list was super short.
It was in the middle of the night. I went up to pee for the millionth time, and I came back and you had stirred because I had gotten up, and I just said, "Hey," this was like 2 weeks ago, like literally 2 or 3 weeks
Very long
ago.
enough.
I was like, "Hey, should we talk about the birth?" And he was like, "What's there to talk about?" And I was like, "I don't know. Like, do I need anything? Like, am I being?"
We like lay there. We're like,
We were just
do we
thinking.
need
I
anything?
was like, "Okay, I have a towel.
We had that.
I
We
have
got
a
hot water.
house."
It's gonna be hot water.
Yeah. And we just kind of like laid there in the middle of the night being like, I think we're fine. Like, is there anything to talk about? I mean, I've already been through birth with him, and he was perfect, and we're super tight and connected. Like, there's no like brewing baggage, for us, like there often can be. And don't recommend that. Recommend dealing with that before you give birth. But there just isn't any like new information I needed to portray to you.
It was more just like, how do we want the
Equipment.
setup to be?
Yeah.
Like, where do we want to put the tub? Right?
If a tub at all.
If a tub at all.
Just because I
And
attend births, I have everything. So I was like, well, we may as well put a tub up. Like, I have it. We may as well put together that birth stool. I have it. And so now it's turned into this gorgeous, gorgeous play space, which I've been meaning to take a picture of it now that
it's
the
like
art,
a temple.
yeah,
I
it's
mean,
so
it's
beautiful. Now that the art arrived, once we get that up tonight, I should take a video to post because it's so pretty. And Sunye like decorated it with me. She was my little interior designer and decided where all the statues go and where all the candles go and turn them all on and
Turn
then
on like 100
rearranged
LED candles.
literally, because I had like 300 are they LED candles from the Marie Sue concert at the festival. And so I have like an obscene amount of candles to play with for my setup. Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, in the middle of the night, I was like, we're fine, right? Like, we have what we need. Is there anything else? Am I missing anything? Do I need to buy anything? And we both kind of just giggled and we were like, no, I think it's fine. And then very recently, like just a couple days ago, we had our second talk about birth before my mom came. I mean, and it was kind of like a sadder or darker conversation, but it was about, what if the baby is not alive? What if the baby is born not alive? And I realized we were in our hot tub and it just kind of was on my mind. And I had just done a session with a woman who had had a stillbirth recently. So it was on my mind and my heart, obviously. And I just realized I'd never gone out of my way to talk about that with Johnny. And it's kind of one of those areas that I have a weird amount of experience, or an unusual, it's not weird. I have an unusually high amount of experience with non-live birth outcomes because of my birth work, particularly my work in LA. And yeah, so I kind of like know the deal more or less, but of like logistically what to do and what not to do and all of that. But I never talked about it with him. And so yeah, we had that conversation in the hot tub of just basically like don't sabotage it, like don't call, 911 if the baby's born not alive, because that would totally change, those first couple of hours. And there's really no rush to involve the state. We would, of course, at some point. Yeah. But just had that kind of like real talk, which we'd never had. And that was it. That's literally the only two times we've talked about birth. And then my mom just arrived a couple days ago to be here for Sunier and just to flow with her because I don't know what she'll want to do, obviously, and I don't feel attached to it at all. But she's warmed up to the idea of being present. In the beginning, she was like, "No, I don't want to be there. I don't," because she's seen her birth video a lot. I show my birth video in the RBK school, and she usually comes and watches it with me when it's time to watch it. So she's seen it, quite a bit. Yeah, she's always been like, "I don't like the noises you made. I don't want to see that. I'll come afterwards." Like, thanks.
But she didn't say that now.
She doesn't say it. Well, because her bestie is Luna, who's Ariel's daughter, and Luna was at Ariel's birth just in April here in our community. And so they had a little talk with her, and Ariel like had an auntie talk about what Luna did and how cool it was, and that Luna was right there, and so that helped a lot to have someone else like tell her how cool it was. Anyway, so now she wants to be there. She wants to be all involved. She has a present for the baby. So we'll see. I don't really care either way. But I trust her to know what she wants. And
She's not annoying. So
no,
I
she's
think
really
even if she
not.
doesn't want to be there, she'll just bounce. And
Exactly.
grandma's around, and if she doesn't want to be there, she'll be cool. Or we'll kick her out.
Yeah.
I mean, whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I think parents really overthink this. Like a lot of the questions I've gotten was, how are you preparing Suni to be a sister? Like, I don't know. I don't I don't know that we
We
need to,
waited until she was 4. I mean,
but that wasn't to prepare her.
I know her, but her life is preparing her to be a big
Well, that was what I was gonna say. Is like we are designed to do this. I don't think my what I'm commenting on is how much I think people overthink all this stuff with their kids. And so many women will say like, I want my kid there in the tub with me, or I want them, and it's really important that they see the baby. It's like you can't control that shit. I've been to so many births with children, and it's just like saying you want a water birth. Maybe you think you want to water birth. You think you want your kid there. But then your kid's super annoying or wants a snack and you're pushing when they're, having a nap. Like you can't control it. And there's a layer after that of just letting everything go and just relaxing, and just seeing what life has for us, because it's usually better than the way we think the whole thing's supposed to go. And then that obviously creates rigidity, which is not compatible with birth, right? Or life. Anyway, so it's fun that she's like more warm about the idea, but I have my mom here, which is sweet because I did invite her to my first birth and she actually declined because she felt too nervous about it, which was responsible. I appreciated her declining. But I free birthed my first and that's intense for a lot of people, and she was like, I'm just not able to be chill, yeah, enough. But now it's been so long and it's kind of fun. Yeah, because she's a nurse practitioner who was a midwife's assistant and like medical midwifery. and had medical births and pregnancies, and then she has me, right? Can you imagine?
Yeah, she's wonderful.
Yeah, she's wonderful. So she's here, and that feels very relaxed. We just took a break because our postpartum chef just arrived. That's kind of a good segue.
Yeah.
So my friend and chef at the festival and retreats that I've done, her name is Malika. Met her through the RBK school. She was one of my students, and another woman actually pitched the idea to me and then wound up not being able to do it. And so, yeah, that feels really wild and exciting that that's kind of our main postpartum prep thing that we've done. I mean, he's already a stay at home father partner guy. So there's no like work stuff for him that we need to strategize, which obviously is very purposeful and amazing. And yeah, I mean, so we could have just had you. I know that was one of our questions we got quite a bit of was what was our like our postpartum vision.
Yeah. There's a
And
bunch of those.
yeah, to have my mom around. Suni goes to yurt school, 3 to 5 days a week. Some of my best friends all live around here. Two of them make banana bread and sourdough bread, which is gonna come is gonna come in.
Those friends.
And then the other one, Brienne, like does breast massage, womb massage, your whole postpartum. Yeah. And then Malika came to live in our Airbnb yurt for 6 weeks and cook us 3 meals a day, which is just like
Unbelievable.
mind-blowingly
Yeah.
unbelievable that is available to us. And yeah, I can't even imagine what that's gonna be like.
We obviously prioritize the postpartum period
Of course.
pretty heavily. And
And my last postpartum was amazing, but I didn't have a freaking chef.
right. Well, we've worked hard to
Yeah, seriously.
build that ability.
Plus, like, if I'm gonna teach about making your postpartum in bliss, I should probably like take my own advice. Which in my workshop, I was like, get a chef if you can. Yeah, so that works out amazing because we built all these rentals on the property, so she can just stay in one. I mean, I had a quite emotional when she sent me the menu, the sample menu last week. I just cried and was like, "Whoa, what a what an expansion for my family and what a gift. What a just that it's insane. Like what a blessing that we can have that and that there's a woman in our community who is down to do that and that we have the accommodations to offer it with ease and he makes all the food for our family right now. I don't do any of it. And that he won't have to, and that it's her lane of genius. She's so thrilled to be here. She's also going to serve our other family friends who live on the property who also just had a baby a week ago. It's just,
It'll be
wow.
better than my cooking.
It'll definitely be better. Although yours is great when you try. You're simple. You're a simple man. Burping and contracting while we record. It's quite honest. Okay. So yeah, I feel whoo, sensations. I feel excited. I feel really quite relaxed about the whole thing. And it's been on my mind a lot. Like preparing for birth is a ceremony. It is a rite of passage. It deserves that. It asks for that. And just really the biggest thing that comes up for me is the enormous gratitude and pride doesn't feel like quite the right word, but like I'm so proud of what we have created that this can all be so integrated. Even that 95+% of American women pack a bag and go
Mm.
somewhere, and like not even getting into all of the insanity that goes on there, but just the difference in my system, in my body, and in our family that I'm just here, because with the last one, yeah, it was home, but it was a rental. We'd only been in it for a couple weeks.
It wasn't home with a capital H like this place.
Yeah. And I felt nesting for the first time because I never really felt that.
I feel nesty.
Yeah, like, am I nesty?
I feel
Like
nesty.
decluttered the shit out of our kitchen and every corner of our house now, and that felt really good. And I mean, I really work a lot, and I'm very focused on what I'm doing with FBS, and so that takes up a lot of my consciousness in a week, and so it's been nice to just minimize that a little bit and spend more time focusing on like home projects because all that stuff gets way backburnered for me throughout the year. Yeah, just to feel more like engaged in our house, you know, and with you guys. And it's just really actually been quite a wonderful last couple of weeks.
And I think the next few will be similar to that.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm just going to lay in bed and
Right.
get
We're
fed.
just going to be super homebound and
Oh, but I was saying preparing for a ceremony, so as I've mentioned on this podcast before, I have pretty extensive experience with psychedelics and approaching that in a very similar way, and I certainly have had lots of experience getting my ass kicked with it, especially the last time. And it's all the same, like I'm not preparing for it to be any particular way. I'm preparing for it to be whatever it is. And I don't know if I have the skills to articulate exactly what I mean by that, but like when I looked at the birth room, it's just holding all of it so lightly, and it's about creating the opportunity to relax into it and say yes to whatever comes up. But like I might not even go into the birth room, right? I might wake up and have a 40-minute birth and be puking the whole time. It's great. I mean, that's definitely not my preference if I get to say. I am so much more centered and grounded and clear and unconditioned. Like I've done so much unlearning, and I'm really curious what, especially pulling from plant medicine ceremonies I've been in that have been really hard, but in a beautiful way. Like who am I in this in total surrender? Because I didn't totally surrender last time. And you can go back and listen to my birth story, as it's quite a epic tale. But yeah, my what and when I had my mother blessing and I shared my birth vision, it was really the first time I had thought about it in that detail. And something I shared with my sisters was, I want my mantra to be, yes, please give me more. Just yes, please give me more. And that came up for me in my last ayahuasca ceremony prior to this pregnancy, that it wasn't until I stopped like begging for help internally and could get to that empty of a like no ego place that I could figure out how to switch out of suffering and into like ecstatic pleasure. So we'll see. Yes, please give me more. Remind me of that. Yeah, I don't feel afraid. And I feel way less controlling. And I didn't even know I was. Do you know what I mean?
totally. Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like very, yeah, but I've had my ass kicked so much in the last 4 years in a good way.
Including during that birth. I mean,
Totally. That's the other thing, right? Is yeah, even if I have another long birth, which is not super common, but it certainly could. And that's kind of what like broke me last time. I already know through a lived experience, that it's normal and great and had so many lessons for me. And yeah, I mean, this is kind of the fun part about not being a first time mom, right? Like the baby stuff seems super chill. Like nothing feels scary or stressful. Yeah, really enjoying that. Oh my gosh, yeah. And he went to a wedding where he's from in Utah recently. And so I had a bunch of my girlfriends come and stay with me because I didn't want to be alone with Suni, especially in case I birthed, because I was like 37 weeks or something, right?
mm-hmm.
And then I got food poisoning
Oh,
and he was gone.
yeah.
And I guess it was from this burger that I ate. It was bad, but only for like 12 hours. Oh my God.
That's food
Thank
poisoning
God.
generally does.
All my friends were here. Yeah, that was another fun. Woo!
It's been quite the ride.
It's been quite the ride. It's great. Love it.
Yeah.
All right, let's do questions.
Now for some questions.
Okay.
Well, this one right here caught my eye. It says, What's been your favorite way to connect as a couple the second time around? Rubbing your feet at night.
Hmm. Okay. Okay.
It's a
I
nice
wasn't
like
expecting
it's a
that.
nice like sit down, touch in, quiet of the day. Although Suni is now also requesting that I rub her feet before too.
It was cute the first time, and now I'm like, get out of here.
I'm like,
My
okay,
feet are
this
swollen.
little foot.
She just like in the last 2 weeks has just turned into me.
Yeah, it's
Like
pretty wild.
says all she's me, for better or worse. Okay, rubbing my feet. Great.
Yeah,
Love that. Let's keep
yeah.
that up. Okay. How's this pregnancy been different? Well, I already explained it. Also, all I did was sleep and watch Outlander in the first pregnancy. And I've taken like 2 or 3 naps and watched no TV in this pregnancy because I'm busy. So
Feelings on becoming a parent of two.
I have no feelings.
You have no feelings. Classic.
I'm totally
Classic
excited.
parent.
I'm thrilled that she's 4.5. It doesn't feel overwhelming. We're like, like I don't have 2 babies. That's not for me. Yeah, I feel ready. It helps that she's so excited, you know? Like that makes it really, really sweet. But we have a line in our family or like a motto, no use in having an opinion on it. And it's just something we said to each other forever. Just when something is going on that's like written, like
Out of our control.
out of our control, there's nothing we
Or
can do about
agency.
it. We will say to each other, well, there's no use in having an opinion on it. That's kind of how I feel. I've said stuff like, oh my God, I hope it's not a dud because Suni was like so perfect. I've had some nervousness about because I think it's a boy. Like, are they going to be insane? Because I'm real
No,
not into that.
Suni never jumped on the couch. Like that.
Yeah, I'm really not into like intense, wild energy. I like my house very chill. Yeah, I like manners and politeness and chillness in my children. So I guess I have felt some nervousness about like we can groom that into them, right? Like we'll see.
I
But boys
think
are
so.
nuts. So I don't know.
Well, we'll see.
Anyway.
I I have some feelings about it.
Oh.
Thank you for asking. I have been feeling a little bit, and it hasn't been too strong, but a little bit of mourning the loss of just the three of us, as Suni is our only little roll dog.
Uh-huh.
It reminds me of when, like, kind of the only, I don't know, doubt or hesitation point that I had the first time around was just that it wasn't going to be you and I anymore. And, it's certainly different, but it's been so wonderful to have Suni, and I'm sure it'll be so wonderful to have whatever little pipsqueaks in there, not a dud.
Not a dud. I
But
felt that
yeah.
about me and you bringing in a baby
Mhm.
because we just love us and
Yeah,
being together and our friendship and our relationship and our adventures and but
yeah,
I haven't felt any of that with adding.
really.
But a lot of parents say that and a lot of moms are like, how am I ever going to love another kid as much as I love my first and how yeah, like it's not going to just be us three, but I haven't really thought that at all.
Yeah, I've thought it a couple times. Like all the stuff she and I do together, and
Mhm.
like how is this new thing gonna change that balance?
Yeah.
It's gonna be awesome. I'm sure.
What did conscious conception look like this time around? It was way less romantic. It was way less like spiritual. Like the first time we did a 90-day cleanse and he
Mhm.
put rose petals in my bath every
And like
night and we would like
saw a shaman for some illumination of the testicles and ovaries.
maybe that's why Suni's so amazing.
Oh
This is
no.
why I'm worried that we haven't done.
This is how you
We
get it
didn't
done.
this is what I'm saying. We didn't do any of that with this one. Oh my gosh. Nope. We just had sex. I mean, we like it's still conscious conception because I was like, I'm ready, and you're like, you're ready. And then we like made love and got pregnant and we called the baby and there was no protection. All of that great. But the first one was like a whole to
It
do.
kind of sums up this whole pregnancy too. Where it
Totally.
was just like, yeah, we're doing this thing that is this pregnancy. It's another human
Yeah.
child in our family, in our life forever, hopefully.
I
So
forgot about the shaman.
yeah,
What are you gonna do different with this birth than your first? Not trip. I also had 2 women. I mean, one was my dear friend and one was my sister, my blood sister. And I don't really think that's probably going to happen this time. Well, definitely not my sister, but like I just picture being alone and having him nearby and my mom and Suni, if they want to watch the baby come out, can. I don't really care. It's a possibility I'd have Hannah Grace come over to just take some pictures if I wanted in the moment, but that feels like a big difference. I mean, wanting to be alone and imagining that I'll just kind of be alone for most of it feels different. Are you opting out of birth certificates with the state of the world? No. Mm-mm.
I don't think I want
No, that sounds hard.
to figure that out.
Enjoying pregnancy. I mean, any tips on enjoying pregnancy? You literally just choose it. Like, you just have to choose it. Have your man rub your feet. Get a really comfortable pregnancy pillow. I got one that looks like a giant tooth. It's so comfortable.
It is.
Yeah, but everything is shit. This woman says I'm in the middle of wild pregnancy and hate it. I mean, it's your choice, just like it was mine to suffer or to not. So you could just stop if you really want to. Just for fun, haircuts on your kids. If it's a boy, will you keep it long or short? I have no idea. Has your girl had a haircut yet? Not really. Ariel like kind of trimmed it once. Do you have a beginner's guide to free birth? I want to have one. Where do I begin? You are in luck. Yes, we do. Our flagship course is called The Complete Guide to Free Birth. You can go to the website and buy it, and that's where you begin. Favorite things to do as far as homesteading goes? I'll let you answer that since I have nothing to say about that.
Favorite things to do? The chickens are fun. And then I love to make compost tea and spray it on everything. I really do.
What's your advice on getting dads prepared for free birth assistance?
My advice?
Mm-hmm.
Well, what assistance do you think that you're going to be giving?
Or support.
Support is different because that's really going to be your only role. And I think only you and your partner can answer that. Your role is to do whatever she needs in order to optimize your situation. So it's hard. I get that question a lot, actually, and it's kind of hard to articulate what you should be doing because the answer is really not very much.
Do whatever she wants.
Do whatever she wants. There's plenty of times where you can do what you want and things like that, and that's another category. But birth is women's work, and you should be there in a support role.
How does fundal massage and perineum tearing repair work in a free birth? Nobody abuses your fundus in a free birth, and it's totally unnecessary. And spontaneous physiological tears heal. So you just stay in bed with your legs together and free bleed. It's quite simple. When are you due? Now.
Today. Anytime.
Anytime. Does Sunier still sleep with you guys? If so, are you worried the baby will wake her up? No, I am not worried.
She does, sort of.
She does sleep with us. We can't get rid of
We
her.
haven't been able to pry her out of bed quite yet.
She goes through phases. She has a bed next to our bed.
She's kind of on an out phase. She's kind of in her bed phase. But then she sneaks in the night. It's not an airtight system.
It's not airtight, but no, we are not worried about the baby waking her up. Who cares?
Like a rock.
It's also fine.
Right.
Angel Hannah wants the pink and fluffy recipe.
Secret.
We'll text you.
It's in the vault.
What is your favorite part of watching Suni change and grow as I've been pregnant? She's just so cute.
It has been really sweet to watch her go from like totally ambivalent to the process to loving on Oki, as we call him or her, in the womb and kissing on Mama's belly and talking constantly.
She's always like, "Hey Oki, it's your sister. I can't wait to be with you. I know you're already so cute.
And your favorite color is yellow."
Yeah, we play Sorry with her, and none of us want to ever be yellow. So she's been telling Oki that his favorite color is definitely yellow, so that he'll play that role. Yeah. How has it been being pregnant and working so much? I don't know. I mean, I guess I could have used more naps, but in another way, like my work is everything that I love that I'm spending in my life, and it provides for my family and for this whole thing. So to be in a really devoted creative process the whole time in pregnancy, I think has helped me not overly wallow. Like, of course, I've had days where I'm like, I really don't want to do anything. Yeah, but I love everything that I do. So, I guess the parts that I haven't loved, it's definitely inspired me to delegate and outsource and all that. How do you plan to set your biz up for postpartum and bringing on more people? I mean, I scheduled my whole year for this pregnancy to happen in the fall. We're not doing RBK in the fall. So it's kind of, I mean, this is part of the conscious conception for our life is how financially and just like managerially, how does this all run with me also really protecting my postpartum? And I feel really good about it. And I'm not like a workaholic. Like I do what I need to do. I'm not like I don't use work to not be in my life like I think a lot of people probably do. So I'm stoked to put it into neutral and just do the bare minimum and just be in this time. I mean, I loved postpartum with you and Sunye last time so much.
Oh, that was nice.
And it's going to be even more amazing this time.
It's
So,
gonna be chill.
yeah, I'm thrilled. This is for you. How does it feel to be in relationship with such a powerful woman?
It feels awesome. Is that real?
Yeah, look. With such a gorgeous.
Look at this dynamic woman. It's amazing. It comes with a lot of stretching my boundaries as more of like an introverted type of person. Um, you are not that. So it means that there's a lot of things happening and a lot of people around all the time. And so that has sort of stretched my comfort zone a bit.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I don't know.
He's not like an insecure, ego fragile, machismo misogynist like a lot of them out there. So he's never been negatively confronted
Mm.
by my
Not
rar.
intimidated by,
Yeah, I mean, you're terrified of me, but
well, being scared and being intimidated are different. Thank you. Um,
Mm.
yeah, but I don't feel like my ego is a threat to her, or threatened rather by her success or her
that would be so weird and
charisma.
lame.
It
It
wouldn't
wouldn't
have
work.
worked this long.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of men have so much of their identity tied up in how they make money, or providing for many men and fathers is primarily through the financial realm. And mine isn't at this time, and probably won't be again for any time soon, at least. But there are so many other ways that I provide
Oh my
for our
god.
family, that isn't necessarily like I go to work and then I come home and dad does the job thing.
Right.
That was a drag. And it
Oh,
wasn't actually serving our family when we both did it. And
it's
so,
terrible
we chose to eliminate my income and not hers, and I'm pretty sure it was the right move. So
for sure. Will Johnny help with sleep and feeding? Sleeping, getting me to sleep and getting me to eat.
I will help her sleep and feed her.
It's weird. Well, a lot of people ask about the sleep situation. Yeah, I mean, the baby will just be in my armpit and on me and duh.
With Sumi, I did most of the midday naps and stuff for much of her life
I don't
after
remember.
the first few weeks. It was,
Yeah.
yeah. She always had to like lay her head one particular
On the
way,
back, yeah.
and still to this day, I do most of the naps with her. So I'm sure there will be some similar dynamic with the next one.
As soon as it can be.
Right. Like, no, I mean, there's nothing that really for me to do other than, again, be a support and help mama relax and recover and handle the day to day stuff of the house that she's not going to be doing any longer. And all of that kind of stuff is, as I see it, my role in the labor and delivery and postpartum and our life process.
What kind of family planning did we use between kids?
I mean, you track your cycle pretty
I was gonna make a joke and say abstinence.
good.
Thanks. Um, I mean, I've always been a fan of condoms in that they help you not get pregnant.
They seem to.
Yeah, they do a really, really good job.
Yeah.
Yeah, tracking my cycle, condoms, not having sex with ejaculation when I'm fertile. I mean, the obvious stuff. Yeah. Did you two always have the same ideologies or visions for your life?
Pretty much. I mean,
God.
our life is pretty reflective actually of our some of our very first dreams together of like how we were going to build something special, and it looks a lot like what we have now. And
Yeah.
there's been some stuff that has fallen away and things obviously that we've prioritized
Well, we were
are
liberal
different.
when we got together,
Yeah.
and then we became not liberal at the same time. Thank God.
Yeah.
But that's amazing
Yeah.
because COVID like destroyed a lot of relationships.
Mhm. No, we have always our growth trajectory has been together, primarily. So
Thank
thankfully
God.
not apart. Yeah, but early on we wanted, to buy a bunch of acreage out in the country and
Like
start
everyone.
a, permaculture based homestead farm,
Well, our things are very
and
complementary
and birthed outside the system, woven into it,
Yeah.
and
because I think permaculture and all that stuff's like cool, but I don't like want to go farm, but he does. And then obviously I'm doing my stuff. So our passions are very compatible, but our ideologies have changed and matured and grown together.
mhm.
Thank God. And political views, I mean all of it. It's really not ever been hard. And you witnessing me like leaving liberal feminism, you just like were like, yes, this all makes sense the whole time.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, and I mean, not to go too far down this road, but many of our ideologies actually haven't changed that much. But what is acceptable as appropriate ideology has shifted to no longer include us.
Right. Did you use caffeine in this pregnancy? Every day.
Yeah.
Yep, I sure did and do. I feel like this is great. Was there any others that you wanted to ask?
Great. That was great.
I feel like it's
It
medium.
was fine.
I feel like we did it.
I think it is done. It
We
has
didn't
just done,
take
been done.
naps. Yeah, we know the baby's name. No, I'm not worried about the baby not having a face this time.
Mm.
It's funny, like random strangers know that about me.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think we covered most of these. A lot of women have asked about wanting to hear more about, yeah, have we always been on the same page with the pregnancy stuff? Yeah, I mean, Johnny is not confused about, we as a couple are not confused about whose lane is what, and my body and mothering is 100% my lane, right? So I like couldn't even wrap my head around anything that's not that, but it's not hard for him to default to trusting my maternal choices, right? Which the way that we birth as women is our maternal choice. Yeah, but he's not controlling at all. He's not a narcissist. He's not what a lot of women deal with their partners for whatever reason.
You're welcome.
Yeah, thank you.
But also, you're my greatest teacher. And so you have, especially as your perspectives have changed and your experience grown so rapidly, and what you learned you passed on to me in very real time as it was happening to you. And so I was like, oh yeah, no, right, that sounds good, totally, what
Yeah.
you're saying makes sense. So thank you.
It's interesting. So many women have asked questions around like how do I connect to my baby? I'm like, that's like to me it's like asking like how I connect to my heart or my elbow. Like it's not a cognitive exercise, like I mean you can have a thought and therefore feel some connection. Like obviously they're moving all the time, and so sometimes I feel, very rarely I feel inspired to like talk to them, but I've really let go of this idea that you're supposed to like connect to your baby and like meditate to your baby, and your baby is you. And really my work is trying to like learn that mother baby is one word. And so there isn't anything you have to do at all. Do what you're inspired to do. Yeah. A lot of people asking about the spacing. I just we were not interested in having kids close together. No way. I mean, I obviously am in the birth world, and I don't really ever see that not be stressful and not be hard. And I got too much going on. I don't want to be stressed.
And maybe it would have been great to have them 2 years apart.
Ugh, I don't think so. I don't think so for me. Maybe it is for someone out there, but no. I like
We wanted to wait until Suni was old enough that she was a little more independent, was able to help.
and we would like check in about it. It was obvious, like how it would feel. Like, could you imagine if I was pregnant now? Like,
Mhm.
it was obvious. Like, 2 is a big age. We didn't find it particularly hard, but it was, you're all freaking in with them. And yeah, we just don't want to be stressed or overwhelmed. How did you get your husband comfortable with birth outside the system? Yeah, I definitely didn't. I
You
also,
just like went, we just like went on that journey together.
yeah, but like, this is going to sound like weirder than I mean it, but like, I don't even care. Like, it never even occurred to me to think about his comfort. It never even occurred to me. Now we could argue that's because you were down. It's not like you came to me and said, "Hey, I'm really not feeling comfortable with this." But I imagine if you had, I would be like, "Well, great. You have all the resources available to you that I do. Like, if I'm not enough like to teach you what you need to know or whatever, then please figure it out." But, I don't like hero my husband so that he never has to feel discomfort. Like, he's an adult that I am equal to, right? And so I see women take on all this heroic work to control how their husbands think and feel. And I just wouldn't respect our marriage if that was how we dealt with each other. He also provides a tremendous amount of trust and respect, and like there's not a hierarchy in our marriage. It's not like what I say goes and what he said or what he says goes, or he's controlling or we're like placating each other. Like, we are very strongly clear individuals that are supporting each other to be who we want to be, and that's basically like our vows in our marriage was like, we don't know how long this will last, but let's not forget that the whole point of why we're choosing this, we don't need it for survival. Like, in, historically, it's like we're choosing to be partnered so that we can be better versions of ourselves and so that we can be like twice as big in the world. And so, yeah, I mean, we made a commitment to each other very early to never hinder that. And it's come up in a lot of different ways, not just, I mean, I don't think this was even on the table that it would hinder, but I trust and believe that if there were any waves of discomfort or fear for him, he would have just dealt with it because that's what a mature, responsible husband, partner, adult would do. Also, he's not threatened by my radicality and by like, like he's turned on by me being this like badass, that like does her own thing. Like, he's not trying to cage that, right? And I wouldn't have married him or partnered up with him if that was the case. Yeah.
And I saw you go to, or rather, most important is I saw you come home from countless births inside the system that were horrific. And the stories that I heard and the like secondary trauma that I watched her go through was like, why the fuck would anyone go voluntarily into that in the most vulnerable time for mother baby? Like, no way should we be doing that. And so it didn't even occur to me that, like, when the first thoughts of like we could do it outside of that system occurred, it was instantly like, oh yes, of course we should, because that is fucked up. So we should just be here. And so there was it's not like I came to her and in the state she is now and had all of that reprogramming to do in a short amount of time. I came to it on a similar trajectory and time course that you came to it, actually.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, there was never any other way that we would be birthing in my life.
Perineal massage leading up to the birth, is it helpful? No. Nope. Okay. There's a lot more, but I feel like this is long and I'm hot.
Yeah, you are, baby.
That hot. Yeah. Okay. So the last thing I guess I'll touch on is quite a few of you have asked about what do I mean when I talk about like slipping into the veil and the pull into the veil and birth being psychedelic and all of that. Yeah, I didn't experience the veil thing as much with Suni. I kind of felt we went to the beach and I felt pretty spacey. And then that night we had sex and then I woke up at 3 a.m. and was in labor. So there wasn't like whatever I'm going through now, which has been every day, I mean, you could look back like really since Hawaii, I guess. I just feel like I'm like drifting into yeah, an altered state, like having work conversations, meeting with my lawyers, trying to explain stuff, especially after like 2 or 3 p.m. is just challenging. My brain is mushy. I feel like we were at the grocery store the other day and you were like, "Did you smoke weed?" It's like, "No." But
Yeah,
I
it's like,
couldn't I couldn't hear. I couldn't hear
mhm.
anybody. It was so bizarre once he pointed it out. I was like, "Oh yeah, I guess I'm just kind of in my own little world." But that's not normally how I am at all. Usually I'm very like alert and connected and like aware and yeah, just felt this I'm just feeling what is hormonally happening, which is this yeah, this drift into this altered state that's pulling me towards this, big biological, physiological event. And birth can be very psychedelic. Parts of mine were. I've seen lots of women give birth in very psychedelic states. And, I think the more undisturbed you are, the more you can get down into your theta brainwaves and just go. All sorts of cool stuff can happen. You hear the stuff around like women travel to the stars to get their baby souls. Some women stay very in the room, but some women really do travel through that altered state. It can be very underworld. It can be very cosmic. It can be very primal. It can be very orgasmic. It can be very scary. Yeah. Anyway, I feel fairly altered like every day, like waking up like that and just wow.
It's noticeably different from how you normally are,
Yeah.
which is like a hummingbird, really sharp, really
Right.
quick, really decisive. And now you're like a turtle.
I am. I can't even
Just
talk.
like
I feel like I did a pretty good job right now.
you did great. You're amazing.
All right. 40-week wrap up. 40 weeks. We didn't even plan that it was going to be today. It was going to be like a week ago, but everything takes forever. And so here we are.
Turtle.
Ooh. Okay. Wish me luck. I guess by the time you guys see this, there will be a baby. Thanks for watching. If you've stayed all the way till the end, I hope this was just
It
as
was
fun
fine.
for you as it was for
It
us.
was fine.
It was fine.
Okay. It was okay.
And we will be back with the 40-week wrap up on number 3 in
Yeah,
another 5 years. Any famous last words?
No.
Whew. Let's go have a baby.
Thanks for having me on the show twice.
I love you.
You do great.
And that's it for today, my sisters. Check out everything we do, including one-on-one and group coaching, learn about our private membership, in-person retreats, and more on freebirthsociety.com. Our online courses are on freebirthsocietycourses.com, including our flagship course, The Complete Guide to Free Birth. Don't miss the Radical Birthkeeper School if you're ready to become the authentic midwife that women are searching for. Together we rise, and the revolution starts inside each of us. I'll leave you with our Free Birth Society theme song, Wild Woman by Aruba Red.
I honor you for the wisdom you held, the ancient traditions of plant medicine and womb magic. I feel the spirit of the ancestors as I place my hands upon my belly. This sacred portal will be honored. Eons upon light beams of survival, withstanding the eradication of our power by design. I will not allow the separation of our young to be forced upon me. My sisters will no longer birth in captivity. The picket line redefined from burning our wild women to paralyzing us and drugging our babes. Strapped down in a clinical white bed, drying up the milk from our breasts. Keep your needles. My family will never again be doomed to chase those dragons or your poison. We reject your fear. We choose love. Everything with intention. Death, ascension. I will fly and bring her back from the stars.